So, welcome to Northern Powerhouses, our business success stories series of interviews, where we discuss with local business leaders, their backgrounds, their successes, their challenges, and what's really driving them forwards. And this morning, I'm delighted to have with us Vicki Chisholm, and Vicki, if you'd like to maybe just introduce yourself, what you do, how you help people to start with, that would be wonderful.
Hi, Chris. Thank you so much for having me on the podcast with you all. It's a pleasure to share this space with you today.
Thank you.
So, my name is Vicki Chisholm. I am a psychic business strategist. I predominantly started helping with energy work after my whole life fell apart, and I basically had to close down one business, restart, rebuild myself, so then I could then move into a different pathway. And that's what's brought me to where I am today. So, over the last 7 years,
Good.
yeah, 7 years,
Brilliant.
I have created courses. I've got over 29,000 students in my miniature courses. I've hosted podcasts. I've got two Amazon number one best-selling books. Um, Gosh, the things that I haven't achieved has been beyond me. And from where I was to where I am now is quite significant. So I help spiritual entrepreneurs, which is quite a niche area for me
Yeah.
to work in. And the reason that I work in that space is because of the way that I can tap into an alternate power is not for everybody, and I respect that. So my clients, if they're not aligned with a spiritual connection, mainly to themselves or a higher power, they just don't seem to be able to work with the shifts that we bring into it. The energy shifts are so profound. They've taken me from autoimmune disease, PTSD, overcoming 29 years of abuse, to living a life that I never, ever, ever dreamed that I could ever.
Wonderful.
Don't get me wrong, I'm not flying around on private jets and having yachts and things like that. I'm very much a realist and I'm not materialistic. But to be able to be training for a half marathon, which is something the doctors told me I'd never do, I'd be in a wheelchair by the time I was 40. To be voluntary putting myself in a position where I'm going to be jumping out of a plane in June again was
Brilliant.
something they told me I'd never be able to do. Walking the Three Peaks in August. These things are the things for me because it's more quality of life
Yeah.
uh, than it is the luxuries of life for me. And so that's just a little bit about me.
No, that makes perfect sense. I mean, I think the majority of business people that we work with in what we do, the goal, some of them have some goals about achieving certain things of ownership, certain luxuries you describe them, but the vast majority it's about time to do things they really want to do. It's the
Yes.
time and maybe the money to do some of those things, but primarily to do things. So maybe just to start before so what would make a great client? If someone was, how would you tell a great client if I was speaking to somebody that said, what would they say that would be a great way of saying you need to speak to Vicky?
Okay. So it depends on where they are, really.
Yep.
So I've got clients that are just kind of starting out and trying to find their pathway. So if we're talking on that level, I teach them the radically aligned way to building that business. So I would first of all share with them my book and say, read that first. Stop listening to the external bullshit and get yourself into alignment with what you want to build, and how you want to create it. Then you've got a foundation you can build from. Because what I see a lot of the time is people actually going out there and just doing what everybody else tells them to do, and then they're just wasting time, they're wasting energy, and ultimately they're not then earning the income that they want. So that's one aspect of where I cover. But the other aspect is I work with those that are really empowered. They're really determined to move things forward. They're action takers. They are just looking for that space where they can go, right, that hasn't worked this week. What solution have we got next? And what happens is I tap into the psychic guidance, and I'm able to say, well, actually, we need to shift the messaging here, or we need to actually talk about your dream client a little bit more, or we'll tap into the offer suite and go, well, you're not aligned to that offer. it's not fully in alignment with what you stand for. It doesn't cover your core values. It's not
Yeah.
leading with integrity. And this is what's causing the misalignment and the frustration and the growth of the business. Whereas we also get the other side of the coin where you've got people that are in resistance and it's actually the fear that's holding them back and their inner saboteur is pulling them back. So we help to elevate them on a soul level so that they can really activate their inner power and then they can lead. So leaders, change makers, thought leaders are who are open to the spiritual growth to enable to then grow their business. But a lot of those generally have a bigger mission and
Yeah.
it's heart-led and it's not for the financial goal. It's not for hitting targets. It's not for let's just do the stats. That actually is their worst nightmare, to be honest with you. What they want is to serve and help people
Yeah.
with their uniqueness. And
Yeah.
that's where I come in and help them activate that on a deeper level.
Wow. Cool. And so looking back, I mean, when you were growing up, did you foresee this sort of future for yourself, or did you have other plans and goals in place?
I absolutely had no vision of this ever. Um, it's just kind of happened. I'm a natural strategist. I'm a natural solution provider. Um, but I guess when I was younger and I was in school, I wanted to be a number of things. One of those things was a foster carer because I wanted to help teenagers going through difficult home
Brilliant.
life.
Yeah.
The other part of me wanted to be a lawyer because at the time my auntie was training to be a lawyer and it was a good educational career path to follow. So there was part of me that wanted to go down
Brilliant.
that. And the other part of me wanted to travel the world and be a holiday rep for Club 80 to 30s, 18 to 30. So it's really
Quite a
very
mixture there. Yeah, absolutely.
And yeah, I sit here now and I'm like, yeah, I hadn't planned any of this. My previous business, I was a VA, so I did all the social media, business development.
Yep.
I loved learning new things. I loved bringing people together. I loved helping with the marketing, copy, PR. I did so much. We even did telemarketing, we did telesales. It was just so varied and I loved the variety and I loved the learning and the opportunity to do more things. But unfortunately, it wasn't my aligned pathway.
Yeah.
And it certainly did lead me down the space of burnout because I wasn't in an alignment with it. I was building something that I thought I should build
Yes.
rather than building what I wanted and
Yep.
how I wanted to live.
That makes perfect sense. And so looking backwards again, 2018 to now, what are some of the biggest challenges you've and issues you've had to overcome?
Oh gosh, okay. So as I'm a predominantly online business owner these days, and I have been since 2018 anyway, I find the ever-changing social media things overly exhausting because you just as fast as you learn one thing, they bloody change it all over again, and then you're left with the okay, it's a new strategy or a new function or a new thing that I've got to learn. And I actually find it quite overwhelming. And I do have a lot of people say, but your social media is amazing. And I'm like, well, I don't feel like it is sometimes because sometimes I feel like a sitting duck, like I'm really paddling under the water and like just
Yeah.
trying to stay faced with it. But then that's what comes down to strategy. But I also have ADHD. So I get very consumed with things and my brain tells me that I have to do 2 million things at once, so I have to really work at going, is this moving me forward or is this holding me back? And
Yeah.
then I have to like lead myself through the procrastination stages. But yeah, I think the social media marketing side of running the business is actually one of the most biggest challenges that I've experienced myself but also seeing clients.
Yeah. Yes, I think yes, I can see that. I think that consistency of of posting and message, etc. All those things. It seems a really easy thing to do because it's very accessible, isn't it? But
Yeah, but it's
it
forever changing.
yes,
And at the moment, what I'm witnessing, particularly with sales dips and things, is because people are changing in the way that they want to work and the way they want to consume stuff.
yeah,
The world has become like so fast paced that if you're not getting the attention of someone in like 2.5 seconds, you've lost them
yeah.
already. So you're constantly on this spinning wheel. And I look at others going, I'm going on a 5-day social media detox. And I'm like, I don't blame you. I absolutely don't blame you. But I suppose, this is why we have other tools, isn't it? We have the social media scheduling, we've got AI coming in. I
Yep.
mean, I don't know if I completely agree with the AI comments that are going out at the minute, but people are utilizing and they're learning. So I
Yeah.
salute them for learning it. But at the same time, it's like, if you're just going to reflect back what someone's just said, it's not really building relationships and having
No,
conversation.
no, absolutely. It has its place, but it had yeah. For now, it's not replacing a communication between two humans. Yeah, we'll see how long that lasts or how long it is before it'll happen. But as I say, at the moment, it's quite basic. So obviously, challenges you face, whether it's from challenges or successes, what are the key learnings you've had about building businesses?
Well, again, alignment
Yeah.
is as soon as you are in alignment and you know the value of what you bring to the table
Yes.
and offer is in alignment with your core values, the way that you want to deliver. And this is something that I get quite passionate about actually. If you're not excited to deliver it, then why are you even putting it out there?
Yes.
Because yes, okay, in business, you do need the turn of the wheel for the sales to move. So you need some cog wheels, but that's the stuff that you have on passive income. That's not the stuff that you have on your delivery. If you were delivering from a space of, well, it's earning me money, so I've just got to do it, then ultimately, as a business owner, you're not in the right space and you're
Yep.
certainly not leading as a CEO.
Yep.
So, yeah, that's
Yeah, that makes. I mean, I obviously we do different things in different ways, but very much totally agree that alignment to what we really want to achieve in our lives. I guess there's a slightly slight difference
it's a
in
different approach, but it's the same
100%.
movement. Whereas, your approach might be more psychological in mindset and questioning and using the coaching. Whereas my approach is more, well, I can see you're already out of alignment because I'm already tapping into your energetics. I can see which chakras are not quite working in the way that they need to. I'm receiving guidance from above that actually there's another avenue and another door that we need to unpick. So yes, it is different, but the movement is the same. It's just everyone has a different approach
Yes,
because there are so many different types of human in the world,
couldn't agree
and
more.
we can't be for everybody. So yeah,
Couldn't agree. I honestly couldn't agree more. And it's amazing how many times I ask a business owner, "What do you really want your life to look like?" And they've
they
never
haven't got.
thought of it. And that's why we do what we call a business owners alignment. And it's more, our style of that is about what your business wants to look like, which includes the spiritual side, but not anywhere near the level that obviously you operate. But it's just saying, well, what's your perfect day look like? And let's move towards what would your perfect day look like if you had the freedom of time and money to do what you wanted? And
Yeah,
let's make that our North Star. And
absolutely.
it's so I totally I really align with what you're saying in a slightly different way. But let's just do what works for us.
Absolutely.
That's the
That's
thing, isn't
it.
it?
I mean, I had a client reach out this morning, and one of the strategies that I teach in my certification is about the 100 leads. So if you've got 100 people that you could start warming up and building relationships with, then that would
Yeah,
help you gauge your sales strategy on how you're going to then do this, especially when you're starting from zero or you're going into a new area.
yeah.
And she went, but I don't like reaching out. I was like, I know you don't, but at the same time, if you don't need to do it to cold people.
Yeah,
You've got a lot of warm people in your community that are open to having conversations with you, that are open to you reaching out and saying, hey, how's your day going? How's things? Let them know about things that you're running, sending an invitation to people about what you could do. But it was just the resistance to getting over that first hurdle. And a lot of people share spirituality as in you've got to go and talk to ghosts. So I'm just going to say that's not actually what spirituality
Right.
is.
Okay.
There's a
Okay.
different
Fine.
type of spirituality, okay?
Yeah, no, it wasn't on my mind, but you, just in case somebody was thinking that, yeah, that's good. Good to differentiate.
Yeah, no, a lot of people do. They just assume that spirituality is about talking to ghosts, and it
Right.
really
Okay.
really isn't at all. But
No, 100%.
yeah,
No, that's absolutely fine. I mean, it really is interesting, and as you said at the start, it may not be for everybody, but I would urge everybody, and I think we're very aligned on this, to think about what you really want and how, whatever context that is, and
absolutely.
move the business, align the business to those things, and
And
then
actually, I really love that about what you're saying because I've known Action Coach for many years. And one of my coaches also works within the Action Coach arena. And I've never really been fully connected to Action Coach based on the fact that I am more spiritually led
yes,
rather than strategic, but I do both.
yep.
So I love the fact that you are bringing this in now, and it's more aligned to people. It's becoming more person centered rather than business structured centered, because without the people, we can't have the business structure anyway.
Yeah, 100%. And I suspect that's more miscommunication and branding than anything, because it's really been a part of what we did right from day one. I've lucky enough to be operating as an action coach for over 20 years, and it's always been, and it's the most, to be perfectly frank, it's the most it's the most, yeah, enjoyable part of what I do is just sitting down with people saying, well, look, let's just imagine you can achieve anything. And I talk about the idea of suspending reality. So I say, look, the way the brain normally works is we think of what we'd really want, and then within about a couple of milliseconds, we give ourselves about 10 reasons why we can't have that. And I say, just work on the first bit, what you want, let it settle, and then we work out how we achieve that. And if we align to that, I couldn't agree more that the motivation, the desire, the passion, and the ease with which people achieve those things because it's
Absolutely.
in line with what they really want. And it's
Mhm.
so yeah, I do think we've been doing it for a while. It's not always necessarily as obvious as that because we very much are about systems, processes, how to get there.
Absolutely.
Absolutely, because we believe that's important too. But knowing where there is
Yeah.
is absolutely fundamental. Otherwise, we often talk about working really, really hard, but going in the wrong direction. It's like, that's nuts. But no, that's wonderful. And obviously, you're aware that we're coaches, and I'm keen, and obviously you are yourself. I'm keen to know who the best coaches you've worked with, whether that's in business, sport, life in general. Who's had the biggest impact on you?
So those that have had the biggest impact to me are the ones that actually helped me understand who I am and what I do, rather than just telling me to go and follow a strategy.
Yep,
So the coaches that have seen the magic of what I bring to the table, like 2 years ago, I didn't know that I was a psychic business strategist. I just knew that I was a very intuitive coach.
yep,
Business development, business strategy has always been something that I've done. I was doing it as a VA without even knowing I was doing it. It comes very naturally to me. So, but, adapting the training and learning and growing with it, and then going, oh, well, I'm doing that anyway, was quite an eye opener.
yep,
But having someone come in and activate who I am and say, Vic, reflecting back to me, Vic, this is what you're doing. So now, it's a bit time you kind of own it and just run with that. And
yep,
since I have and opened the door, it's been like this whole new world has just opened up for me because I was attracting the wrong niche. I was focusing on an area that felt really comfortable because it's what I knew, but actually I needed to break out of that.
yep,
Because if I'm not working with spiritual entrepreneurs as a very spiritual person, then I was just going down this rabbit hole of churning things out and it just wasn't connecting the
yep,
dots. So having that coach come in and say, well, I've been watching you, I'm watching you interact in this mastermind and I'm watching you do this and I'm watching you do that. And actually what we're seeing is this is who you are and this is what you need to do. And I really value that more than the traditional strategy, to be honest.
no, good, cool. It's yeah. As I say, and the thing, you said it yourself earlier. I think we are all different. Therefore, how we are coached, led, managed, etc., is it should be different for each person, and so it's fine.
Absolutely,
And
absolutely. I mean, I've worked with coaches that just sit you down and tell you what to do, when to do it, and how to do it. That's never going to work for me because my creative brain doesn't follow the process that someone tells me. My creative brain takes the pieces that I need and churns it into something else of how I then bring it together. So I have to sit and construct my own strategies. I can't be the one to follow X, Y, and Z. So I love the fact that we live in a world where we get to be different. We get to change the way that things are. Um, I do see a lot of people in the online space being quite opinionated, closed off, shaming people, and I just think that kind of strategy isn't really empowering for the people, is
uh,
it?
not
We need more empowerment. We need more self-led support. We need
100%.
actually a lot of the people need permission to be who they are.
100%. And I would suggest, unfortunately, and I've seen this be doing what I've done for as long as I have, is that there's a whole bunch of people that I would class as consultants
Mm.
that tell people what to do, have rebadged as coaching because it's a bit more sexy now, if that makes sense. But telling people is not coaching, asking people is coaching. What is it you want to achieve? How are you going to do that? And then adding in knowledge where knowledge is lacking. So, well, I really want to do this, but I'm not sure how. Great. Would it be okay if we talk about some of the ways you could do that? That's coaching. Any point, and I often say to my clients, if you ever catch me telling you anything, unless you've specifically asked me to do so, just slap me around the face because that's I won't be coaching at that point.
I'm
Um,
sure they don't need to be that brutal. I'm
no,
sure
no,
they.
I always say it, and it never happens. But I like to make people laugh. So I actually say punch me in the nose, but I thought that might be sound a bit violent for you. But it's never happened. But it is like, look, that's not what coaching is. And I think the challenge with a lot of people is they find that they need to self-validate by telling people what they know, rather
Yeah,
than the real skill in coaching is asking people great
yeah.
questions.
And
And
this is what, but this is actually something that I'll say to my clients. I'm not going to give you the answer just because I'm psychically tapped in. But what I will do is I will ask you the right question to help you discover
great,
the answer for
great,
yourself. But just because I'm receiving information as a psychic does not mean that I am going to just hand it to you on a plate because you haven't done the work to
yeah,
get there. Therefore, you're not going to honor the space that you're in. And I think actually empowering people through questions can sometimes be overly triggering to some as well, but actually gives them an opportunity for that growth to take place. So I love
absolutely.
the fact that you do that as well.
No, absolutely, and it's bang on. The phrase I love, which is used in coaching, is actually used in sales as well. But is the truth comes out of the other person's mouth. So if I say something to be true, I tell you something that it's my truth. If I ask you great questions and you then tell me that it's your truth, and therefore you're more likely to act on it. And that's where coaching comes in. If I just tell you stuff, that's really just directing you. If I help you, and so no, I absolutely completely agree. So, speaking of quotes and sayings, is there any favorite quotes or sayings you catch yourself using on a regular basis about anything that you do or anything that you've done so far?
There was one at the tip of my tongue that I use all the time, and because you've asked me, it's disappeared.
That's
One of the ones that I do like is I can and I will watch me. And the reason
brilliant.
for that is because there's been so many times where people have said, you can't do this, you can't do that, you won't do this, you won't do that. And I've gone, watch me. And I know
Brilliant.
I gotta make it happen. Um, so yeah, that's just one of the quotes that I love. But
Brilliant.
there's others, but they've just gone out of my head.
No, all good. If you do want to bring money later, please feel free. No, it's really good. It's really interesting because one of my successful current clients is she's gone from like she won an award recently that we're an event we were both at, and she's gone from sort of like 1 to 7 businesses and 70 people up to 250 people in the last 3 years. And one of the key reasons she started the first business and all the others is because someone told her she couldn't. She wouldn't make it. She wouldn't be successful. And it's just like, well, I've exactly that. I can, I will watch me. So totally get that. And alongside quotes and sayings, are there any favourite books or podcasts that you would recommend for anyone that was looking to successfully grow their business or develop personally?
Well, there is mine,
Yours,
obviously.
absolutely well said. 100%. Let's make sure. What's the title of your book?
So my book and podcast is called Radically Aligned, but the podcast is Radically Aligned Business. But obviously
Brilliant.
I'm gonna give mine a plug. I'm totally biased and I'm allowed to do that.
Oh,
But
100%. Do it.
some of the other books that I've read that I've really enjoyed is actually Denise Duffield Thomas, Chillpreneur, because we live in a world where everyone says do, and actually the second you take a step back is the second you get an opportunity to really review and refine where you're going. Now, from a spiritual and energetic perspective, if you are running at 120 miles an hour every single day, you can't manifest and you can't then create because your brain is too busy. So you need to slow down. But so I love the way that Denise teaches. I love the way that she shares. She's also got her own podcast, and she also teaches Money Boot Camp, which has been really profound for women in business who do struggle with the energetics of money and the mindset and things as well. So I do recommend Denise Duffield Thomas. The other one, really, I'm sure everybody listening to this is going to know this one, but Diary of a CEO. I
Yeah.
think the raw conversations that take place there are very much needed.
Yes.
And who doesn't love listening into a podcast while you're having to drive to different...
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's a great way of learning, isn't it? And as you say, the conversational nature, I think Stephen Bartlett's very good at just both asking great questions, but also he's quite self-analytical, I think, and quite humble in that respect
Yeah.
of identifying his own faults and flaws with the people that he's speaking to. So totally agree with that. And what would you say from a learning perspective you learned about yourself so far on your journey, Vicky?
Oh gosh. Well, from where I was 10 years ago to where I am now, I've become so self-aware that sometimes it's a little bit draining. So things I've learned about myself. Well, one, I learned that I wasn't just an intuitive, I was actually psychic. I was receiving guidance and information. I wasn't always open to receiving it, but that's one thing that has actually, I think in every critical moment of my life, if I didn't have that gift, I don't know where I'd be today. And it started from a very young age. I've learned that no matter what life throws at me, I will always get back up and I'll find a positive spin with it. And I've gone through some extensive stuff. Um, I've also learned that whatever I truly deeply want, I will create. And if I don't truly deeply want it, then it shows
Yes.
very much.
Yeah, that's the whole alignment pieces again, isn't it? If it's yeah,
Yeah.
not what
And
you really want, it's not going to turn up.
yeah, no. And I think as time's going on, I'm really realizing that um, I really love to teach and I love to hold space and I love watching people's brains turn with the questions and
Brilliant.
but don't get me wrong, I can be really prickly as well.
That's fair
I
enough.
do swear a lot, actually. I haven't sworn much today. I think this is probably the first podcast that I haven't sworn at in a very long time. So,
Oh,
but yeah, I get very passionate with my swear words when I'm in the mode, when I'm in the flow with something. So,
perfect. Well, feel free. There's no. I feel I'm honoured that you haven't, but I'm totally cool if you do. That's all good. And looking forward to Vicky, what does the future look like for you, and what challenges do you think you might face, if any?
well, I've got some big things happening at the moment.
Brilliant.
So my certification, which is called the Soul Aligned Offers and Sales Strategist, um, that's just going through the CPD process at the moment. I'm
Right.
a CPD provider. Um, we're just getting that nailed with accreditation. But I've decided to do something big this year that I've been putting off for a really long time.
Right.
And I haven't actually formally published this yet because I've still got a couple of spaces for speakers. But in October, I'm launching a symposium with an awards ceremony in the evening.
Great.
And it's specifically for spiritual entrepreneurs because
Brilliant.
for all the diversity in the world, there is nothing for spiritual entrepreneurs. So, yes, they can come under holistic. I mean, I won an award last year as Holistic Business Coach of the Year, but it doesn't quite touch the mark for those that are working in the spiritual area, such as those that are going out there and healing tumors, those that are going out there and using their spiritual gifts to help business owners scale beyond the millions. Those that, there isn't anything of that
Right.
type.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm creating. We have got the date, we have secured the venue, we have got speakers flying in from America and Dubai. It's going to be an
Brilliant.
international, and I'm very excited about where it's going to take me next.
Brilliant. Well, we'll keep an eye out for when that's fully published, and hopefully some people watching might like to attend.
Thank you.
Whereabouts is it going to be?
So it's going to be in East Yorkshire. We've got an Enchanted Castle hotel here that I use for my VIP and mastermind days.
Right.
It's going to be on the 16th of October. The graphics, the design, the web page are all done. I just haven't gone out there and gone, right, we're here, let's do this yet.
Brilliant.
So, but yes, that's in October. I'm very much looking forward to it and very much looking forward to bringing more spiritual awareness into business.
Brilliant. Well, we look forward to yeah, we'll keep an eye out for that, and please email us when you've got the details, and we'll make sure people know about it. Um,
Thank you so much.
and finally, what would be looking back again? What would be the best advice you could give an 18-year-old you if you could go back in time and do that, Vicky?
Oh gosh, if I could go back to the 18-year-old me, let alone anybody else at 18-year-old, because it's a different world now. But if I could go back to the 18-year-old me and have someone in my pocket and saying, you've got the power to do whatever you want to do, you have that. Go out there and flipping well do it. It was just unfortunate at that point in my life I didn't have the power, emotionally, mentally, physically, or practically. So I would go and empower that 18-year-old to get into alignment with what they want,
Yep.
how they want to serve, how they want to achieve. I've always been overly ambitious anyway. So having the right hand to hold and take me on that journey would have just been amazing. So I would like to
Brilliant.
give that to somebody else. Just listen to you. Stop getting all the advice and things from everybody else and actually look at what it is that you
Yeah.
want to do. Who do you want to help? How do you want to change the world? And go out there and damn well do it.
Brilliant. Very sound advice for anyone, I feel. So thank you so much, Vicky. It's been fascinating to talk to you, and I'll look forward to catching up with you again at some point in the future. And but for anyone that's watching right now that'd like to get in touch with you, what would be the best way of contacting you?
The best way to reach out to me is probably through Facebook or LinkedIn. It's
Yep.
Vicki Chisholm and it's with an I. You can't really miss me because I'm the one you'll either see a motorbike somewhere or I'll have a bright pink jacket on.
Brilliant.
Um,
Sounds good. I will go and check all of that out. A motorbike or a private jacket, or maybe even both. So
yes,
we'll.
possibly.
Well, look, as I say, it'd be great to swing by another 6, 12 months and maybe catch up with how the event went. But for now, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much, Chris. It's been great to chat with you today.
And you. Thank you.